Today we're going to talk about Xboxes. No, not the kind that you could play FIFA on or Madden or Spaceman Moonlight Sparkles. What we're going to be talking about today has to do with variables, just like we talked about in the last videos. Only today we get to actually figure out what number or numbers that variable represents. Our Xbox is actually a whole lot like a treasure box. Inside it holds a number or numbers. Now the great thing about algebra is that we can actually solve what's inside this box just by manipulating, not even opening the box. That's how powerful algebra is.
Okay, so let's do an example. You're finishing with a soccer game, you're really hot and sweaty, you go into the 7-Eleven and you want to buy some Gatorade. You see that they're 2 for $3. You have a friend with you, she doesn't have her money, it's in the car, but you need to buy 2 to get the $3 deal anyway, so you pay the $3 and give her her Gatorade. She wants to know how much she owes you. Now I know you can figure this out. This isn't that difficult. We have 2 Gatorades for $3. You can figure out that each one is going to cost $1.50. So why, you wonder, are we doing this at all? Well, what we're doing is we're trying to translate this into algebra. Algebra is not only problem solving, but it's also another language, a language you're not quite familiar with. So just like if you were learning Spanish, you would look at the color blue and you would say it in Spanish. You know it is blue, but you are learning to translate it into this other language, which is exactly what we're going to do. That way, when we hit the really tough problems that do require problem solving, we're not spending most of our time trying to translate it and getting stuck there. So let's demonstrate this and figure out how to translate it.
Okay, so let's take a look at our balanced equation. So right here, we have 2 x's. Now, x represents, remember, the cost of each Gatorade. So since we bought 2 Gatorades, we need 2 x's. And that total cost was $3, which is on the other side of our balance. Let me hold this. And we've got $3 right here. So our goal is to figure out what x is without opening that box, just doing some algebra. So what we need to do first is to find out what 1x is. We know 2x's is equal to $3, so let's see if we can find out what 1x is. Well, if we wanted to get this side to just look like an x, we can actually divide by 2 because we have 2 x's. So we could divide it by 2. So if we divide it by 2, that means we're putting it into 2 groups and just taking 1. Now, when we do this, we have to do this to the other side of the equation because right now the equation is lopsided. We divided one side by 2, but not the other. So we also have to divide this $3 by 2. So let's take a look at the $3. Now we've got $3. We have to put it into 2 groups. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, I've got this extra dollar right here, so I guess I could just rip it in half. So now we have 2 groups. Now we take one of those groups, and our equation stays the same. We divided both sides by 2 because both sides were equal. Now we can go ahead and take a look in our box and see if 1 Gatorade really is $1.50 or $1.50.
Okay, so let's start translating. We want to know how much she owes you, and she bought 1 Gatorade. So we want to know how much 1 Gatorade costs. So we're going to let x equal the amount in dollars that 1 Gatorade costs. We're going to go ahead and create our balance. And that little balance point is the same as our equal sign. We know it costs $3, so we'll put $3 on this side of the balance and $3 on that side of our equal sign. Now we know that 2 times the price of 1 Gatorade has got to give us the $3. So we have 2x on one side equaling $3. And we can show that on both the balance and just with the straight equal sign. Now we don't really want to know what 2x is, so we're going to divide by 2 on that side, but that means we have to do the same to the other side. So divide by 2 on one side of the balance, we get x, and on the other side we get 150. And we can show this with our equation over here, just divide by 2, and we have x, because 2 over 2 is 1, is equal to $1.50. So we know that 1 Gatorade is going to cost us $1.50 if we get this special deal.
So your lemonade business did so well that you've decided to expand, and now you're selling little pies. $3 a piece, you've decided. You start the day with $14 in your cash box, and you end the day with $47. How many pies did you sell?
So let's get to translating. So we want to know how many pies we sold. So probably that's going to have something to do with our variable. So let's name X, and it could be anything, but we'll call it X. And that equals the number of pies I sold. We're going to use our little balance again. On one side, we're going to have a total of $47. Now, since our pies were $3 a piece, we have 3 times the number of pies we sold, plus 14. That 14 is from our cash box. That's what we're starting with. So when we look at our ending cash box, we have to take into account that we've got to add $14 to our amount that we made from our pies. Now we're going to use boxes to represent our unknown. So we have 3 of those boxes plus $14. Now I'm going to use these little red dots to represent our $14 because you're going to be using objects to represent your amounts as well. And that's equal to 47. So I've got to draw 47 of these dots. And we'll hurry it along a little bit. Okay, so now I've got 47. Now we don't know what's inside of each of these boxes. That's what we want to know, what's inside each X. We're going to subtract 14 from both sides of the equation. So we're going to take 14 away from here, and we're also going to take 14 away from the 47. So still balanced because we took 14 away from both sides. Now that we've got that, we've got 3 X's, we're going to divide it by 3 because then we can find out what 1 X is. So 3 boxes divided by 3 is just 1 box, and we're just going to divide our little counters into 3 groups. These counters are actually representing our dollars. And we're going to take away 2 of those groups, and we'll have 1 group left. And so in that 1 group, we have our X equaling 11 pies. By writing what the variable represents at the beginning, it actually helps us remember what we're solving for. Congratulations, you made it to the next level. Now, on to Xboxes 2, where we'll do some practice.